Classic Country 100.1 WGLC. It is Music and Stuff on this Sunday morning. I am Steve Pulaski. Privileged to be joined by two artists from different generations who have recently joined forces to make some beautiful music. He's David Frizzell, who has been active in country for 8 decades, as shockingly as it is. And
wow, when you say it like that.
8 decades going strong with a lot of great music under your belt. And she's Mary Sarah, who's looking at an 8-decade career with her talent and who has shined on The Voice several years ago and is forging an illustrious career of her own. David, Sarah, how are you two today?
We are fine.
So wonderful. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. You two, first and foremost, because I know there's going to be some people who are like, these two are together. What's the reasoning? But start with this. You two teamed up on a recent cover of You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma, obviously a big hit for you, David, and Shelley West as well. It's a fantastic version. You two did an excellent job kind of breeding, I don't want to say new life, but kind of giving it a modern, fresh sort of, rebirth. How did it come to be? How did you and Mary link up?
Well, Mary Sarah, you're going to have to tell him about this.
This is my question. Well, David and I, first off, thank you for the compliments because, that was the whole idea when we came together about this song is just paying respect and honor to a song that's already stood the test of time. So, we tweaked it here and there, whether it was a little bit of the tempo, just to kind of give it, like you said, a little bit of a new breath of life there. And so I got a shout out to Bart Butler, who produced it, as well as all the musicians here in Nashville who came together to make it happen. They're incredible. We couldn't have done it without them. But David and I we got to meet, midst of COVID. It was I think it was at least for me, it was my last show live. And it was a good one, obviously, because we're sitting here on the radio talking about it. But,
yeah.
David was headlining the show, and I was one of, a handful of openers for him. And I got done singing 2 of my songs, and David just so happened to be standing right there as I was coming off stage, and he just gave me the biggest hug, and he said, "Girl, we got to work together. We got to do something." And I think I took that idea and ran with it a little bit here, and and so here we are. Thought of the idea when he said that, it was just kind of like, well, what can we do? And we realized the 40th anniversary was coming up, and why not pay tribute to this song? So, I'm lucky to be the other half on this.
That's excellent right there. And it's available now, your versions. You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma. That's available wherever you consume music, and it is absolutely worth consuming, that's for sure. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. David, I'll throw it over to you, too. How have you been keeping busy over the past 14 months? I know you don't let the grass grow under your feet. You've made several albums over the last few years and different singles. I see you don't have to go too far on YouTube to find a David Frizzell performance, but what have you been doing over the last year?
Well, I tell you what, I've been getting ready to do what we're doing now, getting ready to celebrate the Oklahoma song. And when this thing is kind of done, I'll be celebrating the Wino song, which is next year. So I tell you what, the problem is not being able to go out and celebrate like I'd like to with live concerts and so forth like I always do. And so I'm looking forward to that being where we can do that again. And this time I'm hoping to bring Mary Sarah with me on some of these shows, or maybe put something together, whatever, so we can get out there and introduce her to the people. And but that particular song is so important. The You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma song is so incredibly important. 40 years ago, it took 2 people, me and Shelley West, and took them, put them, from a small stage to the world stage. And we got a chance to step out onto the world stage. And I remember, I think one of the first things we did when the song became playable, we opened a show for Conway Twitty. From that point on, he was one of my best friends. I just loved Conway. And so we toured all over the world, all over the country, singing that incredible song. And with that, we just wanted to celebrate. What do we do? And then I met Mary Sarah, and the thought was to do a remake of it. And I think it's great. I hope you like it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's good. And I think the other thing, too, is that when I heard it, and it really made me think of something, and that's why, Mary, I want to jump in and ask you a couple questions about kind of the direction of your career too. But like, where have all the country duos gone? Like you had George and Tammy,
Right.
beautiful music. You had Conway and Loretta, beautiful music. Where have all, I actually interviewed Phil Vassar about a couple months ago, and he has a song called Where Have All the Pianos Gone, because he's a piano player. And I'm over here like, where have all the duos gone? You two are fantastic.
Yeah. I totally agree. I'm so glad you said that, because I grew up on classic traditional country, so I'm with you on the duets. I'm like, I feel like at a certain point there was always like duet partners that you would always hear something from the two of them, and including David and Shelley, who, they toured together, they played all the time together, they had songs together, and I'm such a fan of bringing that back. I'm so glad you said that. So if David and I have to start that, well, by God, let it be.
And I had to do like a double take with you too, Mary, just looking at your resume online, because you're very young. We're actually around the same age, you and I. And so I feel a little inadequate. That aside, I feel rather unaccomplished. But you have such a decorated resume, Mary. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if you realize this or not. I don't know if a lot of people realize this, even people maybe who are familiar with you. But you got to be something of a millennial icon. You got your start in Kids Bop, apparently.
I did.
Oh, you got to come with the 411 on that.
Oh my gosh, that was actually that was my first paid gig.
You got paid?
Yeah.
Oh.
I did. I got paid for that. I went into a trust fund at the time. I was 12 years old, so Mom was like, no, that's not happening. But yeah, that was incredible. It was 6 months. It was across the East Coast and Midwest. We did about 48 cities. And yeah, I was 12. It was where I really learned, honestly. I looked at my mom at one of the shows and just said, hey, I just want you to know I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And I think, looking back, my mom, I'm actually a mom now, and I'm trying to think if my baby girl looked at me at 12 and said, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, would I have been like, okay, all right. So that was a fun start for sure. Really, I got my feet in the water of touring and performing. And so that's, I think David would agree with me. That's probably one of our main loves in what we do is to be able to tour and perform. So, yep, that was a thing.
Favorite Kids Bop cover song that you performed?
Oh my gosh. Well, so we were actually the first tour that Kids Bop ever put together. So we were kind of like the trial run, and we would all the songs that we did were taken from each of the CDs, like one song from each CD that had already been out. So gosh, there was like Fergie on there. We had the Black Eyed Peas. We had Rascal Flatts, Life is a Highway. We did the All-Star song from Shrek. It was kind of all over the board and really, really fun. So as far as I don't know if I could pick a favorite, because each of them, it was my introduction as well to like all different types of genres. Because before that, I only knew classic country and I only knew Christian music. So I think I was a pretty big fan of it all, just kind of experiencing new genres like that.
I appreciate that wisdom. I was very curious. I've had that on the tip of my tongue since I've been plotting this interview. You didn't disappoint there. David, I'll hop over to you because I'm curious on your opinion on this. Alan Jackson, the great Alan Jackson, made headlines recently kind of expressing his disdain for modern country music. And Mary, you can even chime in on this too. David, where's the genre at in your opinion? Do you keep up with modern country music? Do you listen to any, of the new artists? What's your take maybe on Alan's comments and just, your own personal opinion on the industry?
Well, you know what? I don't get a chance to listen to all the new stuff. I happen to know Tim McGraw pretty well and people like that. But as far as actually listening to music, I'm so much into my own thing. And I'm so much still into my big brother Lefty stuff. We're getting ready to do some very unbelievable things with my big brother Lefty's future, stuff. Documentary and maybe even a full-length motion picture. We're looking at that. We got people coming out this next week. Awesome. So anyway, I'm into that, and I don't get a chance to listen to the new stuff. Once in a while, I will, but mostly I'm still back in the George Jones, Lefty, Merle, Marty Robbins. You know what I mean? I'm still I'm still hooked into there.
I will chime in a little bit on that. You know, I don't think I've seen what Alan said about it, but you know, I think just like anything in the history of the U.S., things come back. Things have come back into play so many times, whether it's mom jeans or whatever it is that you would say it has its time. And I think the same thing with classic country. I honestly think it's making a comeback. The thing about it is it just like You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma, it has lasted the test of time. And that says a lot. I think a lot of the newer stuff that's going on, and mind you, we're in a day and age that we're throwing music all the time. It's so much more than it used to be. But still, these iconic songs, you know, have come back and made a name again. I want to say there was like a Fleetwood Mac song just recently that, you know, a lot of the younger generations had no clue. They thought it was a new song. And they, you know, loved it and everything. And it went number one again. And here we are looking back, and it had already gone number one at a certain point, and they just didn't know it. So I think it's the same thing with country music. I think classic country it's coming back, and I'm happy about it because, like you said, I grew up on it, and it's a part of who I am. So, you know, it at least gives me a place to fit in a little bit here in this new world of Nashville. So
David Frizzell, Mary Sarah on the phone lines. Again, they had a new single out, You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma, a new duet. Definitely listen to that wherever you consume your music. Moreover, David, when you reflect on the years with you and Shelley West performing and making records together, what goes through your mind? Are you and Shelley still in contact at all?
Ever so often. She's retired some years back. And we're still just going full throttle, and we're ready for the country to open up and let us get back out there and say hello to our fans, people who still want to hear Oklahoma, Wino, and all those songs. And we can't wait to get in that bus and travel down there and wave and just get on out there. And this time with Mary Sarah, I think would be so incredible to get her out there with me and her together. And I can just see a show coming together with that. And especially all the stuff that we could bring into it, even with You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma. I think that'd be the reason for the whole thing. But still, there's a whole lot of stuff there that we can do, and can't wait to get out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, David, if I can ask you this, too, because I actually putting together this show, listened to your great song with Merle Haggard, Lefty, in honor of your brother, and who had such an impact on country music and honky-tonk music in general. The country sound really was pioneered by Lefty. But on a personal level, too, if I may, what impact did he have on you? I mean, musically, obviously, but like just personally, as a brother, you saw him, closer than almost all of us did.
Well, I tell you what, he was a very amazing person, and he early back as just growing up, he would make sure all the kids was entertained. We didn't have television or any of that kind of stuff in our little old poor house, but he'd come by and he'd entertain us. He'd get us all. He'd make up a movie or something. He'd give us all parts and have us all acting, and he was always there for us. And I remember even at Christmas, we didn't have no Christmas tree most of the time. We didn't have no presents, but there'd be a box in the mail would come in. And I remember one time he sent him and his wife Alice sent a box in, opened mine, and there was one for David, and it was a little silk Western shirt. I wore that shirt until it was no longer silk. I don't know what it was anymore, but I wore that shirt year after year after year. But with him, it was always he was always there with you. He'd do things with you, and it wasn't just for you, but it was most of the time with you. Same with growing up, being with him on the road. He was so happy that I was getting the chance to be out there with the likes of people that I mentioned, of George Jones, of Stonewall Jackson, Merle Haggard, who was a really good friend. I could just name them all. And I got a chance to learn from them too, just by being there and being able to see their show, watch how they get off the stage, what they did when they was in the back room, how they did all that. I got a chance to be with them and to be with them, be like them. And I just had a great time thanks to him. He was the one that made it all happen, and I give him all the credits.
You see that a lot too. It's like a gene thing or a genetics thing. It runs in the family. You know what I mean? That's why there's like the Manning family of athletes and such. And obviously, you, Lefty, and even Alan as well. You have that in your blood too. And it had to be really good for you and very fruitful to watch, a professional like your brother kind of go through it and take notes, kind of, for your own career's sake.
But he was just one of a kind. He taught me everything, and I never, in my whole life of being with him, and he never told me no on anything I ever thought I might want to do. He always said that, David, there's two things you got to learn to be in this business. One thing, you got to have a thick skin and a big ego. And he was right. And he made the opportunities happen where I had chances to do things, and he gave me the chance to do them. And he never told me no. And another guy who never told me no on anything was Merle Haggard. One of the best people I know in the world is Merle Haggard. And he was another one. I'd call him up, say, Merle, let's go do some. Boy, he's always ready to do it. I got him on 2 or 3 different albums with me. So anyway, it's been I've been blessed by being around these people, and I feel just as blessed right now being with Mary Sarah.
Mary, you've done so much in your first, 25 years, sort of, as a musician. You started young, obviously. Certainly there's more you want to tackle. What sort of goals and projects do you think you have ahead in the next 25?
That's such a good question. I have a lot of aspirations and goals, and I think one of the main ones here I'm working on right now is, if you look at the history of like songs and music that I've released, it's actually never been like my own music, my original music. So right now I'm in the studio getting to work on that and creating a record that I'm really proud of with incredible producer Bart Butler, who actually helped us produce You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma. And so that's my main focus right now, is just, being able to get that music out, because I know I have a lot of fans who are kind of like, hey, we want to hear some of your original stuff. And so it's kind of exciting to get to work on that. And hopefully this time next year I'll be talking to you about that a little bit. But of course as well, just getting back out on the road and getting on tour. And I told David I've yet to have an actual tour bus, so maybe that's in the future.
You two are awesome. Again, David Frizzell and Mary Sarah, a duo with a lot of great things ahead of them. You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma, the song, their cover version of it is available now wherever you consume music. Lastly, I guess I'll ask both of you. I'll ask you this one, Mary, but I'll throw it over to you, David, first. I like to ask artists this. A song in your catalog, and you got a big one, David. A song in your catalog that maybe you wish more people knew. Could have been a single that didn't take off, could be a deep cut on your 5th album. What's a song you wish maybe more of your fans or just more people in general knew?
Ooh, boy, there is a bunch of those. Golly. You mentioned that. There is just a whole bunch of those. That's a big question, and I've got so many of those songs that I listen to now, and I say, boy, I should never have forgotten about that one. Or, there were just several of them. And thanks to Time Life, who's putting all that stuff out now, I get a chance to go through them and see what I've got. And so they're putting them out. And here lately I've had a chance to get in touch with them. There's one called Warm Spanish Wine. It's an incredible song. And Warm Spanish Wine, remember that one. If you ever get a chance to hear it, please do. But there's just so many like that on there, that one called Angels and Demons. That's another incredible song. But I could go on all day because there's so many great ones. But you're right, there is some. There is a lot of them.
Mary, yes, your song that you would say is underrated or unsung.
I think I did release a single right after going on The Voice that I still love to sing to this day. And I think honestly, because it was a song that was so true in my life and real in my life. It was about a relationship that I had that, didn't go too well. And I had to learn how to get over it. And I realized in that relationship that I lost a lot of myself because I was giving so much of myself to this relationship that wasn't giving anything back. And so my song that I wrote, it's called Without You. And the main tagline is, I never thought I would, but baby, I'm all good without you. And so that's a song I think honestly I might re-release one day because I really love it. And I think it could do some big things. And I think a lot of people could relate to it. So
that line right there, Mary, that you just said, that sounds like tattoo material to the nth degree.
Right.
David Frizzell, Mary Sarah, of course, David Frizzell, an illustrious career all the more in country music. Mary Sarah, I'd say just getting started, but at the same time, she's worked with Lynn Anderson, Tanya Tucker, the Oak Ridge Boys. The list goes on. Again, I feel very unaccomplished at 24 years old over here. On the phone with Mary Sarah. You both are wonderful. I wish you good health, positive spirits, and a lot of success with this new single. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. We've had such a fun time getting to chat with you.
Thank you for having us on, buddy. See you now.